This is the Used Car Dealer Podcast.
Well, hello, Zach here, and we have a great guest on the podcast today, Ken Hill, who is the Managing Director at 700 Credit. Thank you for joining us today, Ken.
Zach, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Appreciate the opportunity to talk to your audience.
So let's get things started. For those of us listening, what does your role as Managing Director encompass, and how did you get into the credit side of the automotive industry?
Well, first, I've been in credit for, you can date me here, but almost 30 years. So I started off when I used to pull your credit to purchase a cell phone, and got into automotive about, I would say about 20 years ago. And I really liked getting into a specialized industry because I felt it was easier to develop products, especially around compliance solutions when you're zoomed in on one industry versus all industries, which previously I was incorporated to. 700 Credit, huge focus on BD. I manage our business development team and the sales team. And then the support teams. I have a great management team with a lot of automotive experience and a lot of industry experience. I think it's probably well over 100 years, and they'll probably hit me for telling you that, but well over 100 years in industry experience in my management team, so in automotive. So pretty excited.
So how has credit and compliance changed in the period of COVID-19 from your lens?
Yeah, it's changed a lot. First, I think, and not so much just my lens, but I think it's accelerated dealers' adaptation of digital retailing probably about 2 years. You know, who knows how long it would have taken dealers to adapt digital retailing to where they are today. And I think, digital retailing has, just been accelerated, and dealers understand now that they need to have some form of digital retailing. It's also, from a credit lens, I think it's really advanced the products and made more of the products more mature to be able to do that complete process online. And hand in hand with that is the pre-qualification, which is a form of credit, right? That it's consumer authorized, but it's a soft pull. Sort of fits the digital retailing, the online shopping environment perfectly. Our volumes in that product have grown tremendously throughout this year, and it's more than offset our decline. We've had about a 20% decline from start to end of the year, as our transactional volumes has gone a little down, and traditional credit qualification have gone up 60, 70% because it fits that consumer buying experience when he's out there shopping for a car. And also pre-screen. We've had a lot of integrations lately in Service Lane because it complements selling cars out of the service lane. It provides insight to those consumers who didn't buy the car at that dealership. It tells them, how much do they owe on the vehicle, so equity payments can be, calculated, how much they'll have to put down towards that car in equity. Also, a current payment versus proposed payment. That's stuff that the DMS doesn't have on vehicles that were bought at the store. And our stats show probably about 40% of vehicles in the service lane were not purchased in that store. So so that digital environment as well, dealers trying to sell vehicles out of the service lane has really taken off because of the environment.
And how is credit and compliance adapted for automotive digital retail, and what role does pre-qualify play in that?
Yeah, great question. So the pre-qualify, as I mentioned earlier, is a soft pull. So it doesn't impact the consumer's credit, and it's not a hard pull. But with that, with a pre-qual, you get a full credit report and a FICO score. So one of the key factors in digital retailing that I see, I probably look at five 10 products a week or talk with vendors of those products, because our pre-qual is integrated into most of the products that are out there. But one of the key satisfaction with dealer satisfaction, consumer satisfaction with a digital retail product is that payment that's quoted to that consumer is accurate. And the only real way to do that is to do a pre-qual. And because you're getting that consumer's accurate credit picture, and being able to calculate an accurate payment off of their credit score versus self-reported scores. Consumer might know their score, or they might have just went to like a Credit Karma and got their Vantage score. Mm-hmm. But dealers know we're using FICOs in the office, and we have to get those. So pre-qualification complements that online shopping environment as well, and because it doesn't impact the consumer score. So if I'm shopping over here, I can get an accurate payment at this dealership, and I go to this dealership and I'm interested in this vehicle, I can get pre-qual over here and get an accurate payment quote over here without impacting my credit. So it really benefits the consumer as well as the dealer. From a compliance standpoint, because it is, you have to ask the consumer, hey, is it okay to access your credit? This doesn't impact your credit, but we need your permission to access your credit. It really covers you from a compliance perspective. There is some points of view that you need to do adverse with pre-qualification, or if you're not going right to a full credit app, you also may need to do risk-based pricing notices off pre-qual, but it's interpretive, and interpretations tend to be all over the map right now on that.
And to give the audience a little context, you're basically on the back end of a lot of auto software products, and you work with a lot of different dealers. How many different vendors and dealers does 700 Credit work with? So yes, we're behind most digital retailing products that are out there in the market. CarNow, Goobagoo, Roadster. But then also our software partners, and has always been our strength, is our channel partners, our partners such as yourself. Mm-hmm. Over the years, we probably were close to 200 integration partners now. So if there were 95% of DMSs out there, 95% of CRMs, and our partnerships are the real strength of our business, and our business growth come from our partners. So talk about some of the compliance mistakes that like a used car dealer makes that could get them into some legal trouble.
Yeah. Well, if I talk about used car dealers compliance, the big franchise groups, the big groups, they're on the auditor's radar. They're on the state and the federal auditors. They start with us, they start with the bureaus, and then they start to come down into the big groups. So I haven't seen a lot of case law on used car dealerships. However, what I would say is, is for used cars dealers to make sure you have programs in place so that if you are audited or if you're sued, and it's an ugly word, if you're sued, you have programs and you have a defense. If you don't have programs, you don't have a defense. And one thing I am seeing, and I think it will impact used car dealers, I call them mystery shoppers, but they're not. I got to come up with a better word than mystery shopper. Everybody knows what a mystery shopper is, right? The restaurant chain will send people in to eat at their restaurants, and then rate the restaurants and the service, and this is a sort of a nasty turn of events in the industry right now, is that there's mystery shoppers for adverse action. So law firms are out there, and please heed this warning. Make sure you have an adverse action program in place. If you don't know where adverse occurs in your used car dealership, when you should deliver it, you can call us. If you're a customer, you're not a customer, we'll help you. But they're sending the 500 credits with the bankruptcies, with the late payments, the repos. They're sending them in to buy cars in the dealership. in the hopes that you're going to pull that consumer's credit and go, oh my gosh, no, I don't have any finance programs for you. And you just tell them no at the spot, or you make them a counter offer and they don't take the counter offer. And then they walk out of the dealership. They'll wait. I think it's 30 days. You have 30 days to give them an adverse action notice. If you don't send that person an adverse action notice, they're going to sue you. And then they're going to try to convert that suit to a class action suit, which means they're going to subpoena, or they're going to ask you for everybody you didn't sell a car to and pulled a credit report on in the last 2 years. And they're going to try and take it to class action lawsuit. I've seen it. I've been testified in them. So it's you have to be careful. It's not a pretty side of the. I guess you can make a case that they're helping to ensure that dealers have good processes in place, but that's not why they're doing it. So
interesting. And if you were to give a dealership or used car dealer a checklist of compliance tools and credit tools from like pre-screen to income verification,
sure.
What would you suggest the average used car dealership should have in place?
I'd certainly, I'd have a way what some of the nicest tools that we're integrated with that I've seen, and are, first of all, from a tool set would be to pre-qualify, right? Used car dealers, a lot of your volume comes from, automotive marketplaces, autotradercars.com, right? You're putting your inventory up on those sites, and have a way to pre-qualify consumers. Get an insight at the top of the sales funnel, what that consumer's credit classification is before you pull their hard credit pull. And that'll give you, what type of consumer you're dealing with, what type of interest rate they're looking at, what type of payment they're classified. It's going to shorten your sales cycle. It's going to help you prioritize sales, shorten your sales cycle. And it does help you sell more cars. We give feedback all the time. We ask customers for testimonials. I'm selling more cars with a pre-qualification product on my website. So you can have it on your website, on your inventory, and then you can forward links to consumers to fill out to be pre-qualified that are coming into your CRM. It really helps sell. Now, from a compliance standpoint, I mentioned earlier, I would make sure you understand. Again, we have free videos on compliance. If you want to see them, what you should have in place at a dealer, get compliance programs in place. It adds a little bit of overhead in terms of somebody's got to do this, and it's a pain in the rear every month. But you want to have a good program in place. Don't be caught with your pants down and have nothing. Get a program in place. Those would be my two recommendations.
So give me a peek ahead into 2021 and what you guys have coming down the pipeline.
Sure. So believe it or not, I would say that most digital retail products are still very, I'll call them immature or not mature. That they really, not all digital retail products, help engage the consumer and work with that consumer as they complete the digital retail. Some just take that initial engagement and pass it to the CRM. That's sort of tough to work at digital retailing out of the CRM. I think so. Tools are maturing, whereas that they continue to allow you to engage with the consumer. So and all the way to contracting, and now our sister company Penn is starting to get a lot of traction, which is aftermarket products, and incorporating those into the digital retailing, so the dealer doesn't lose the upside of those aftermarket products in a digital deal. And for us, we're going to be coming out with a digital retailing product that's sort of targeted at the independent market, something that can service the mid-sized to small dealership that doesn't have the price tag associated with it that are with some of the larger organizations. So that's sort of our products. I can't tell you how much our products have changed, even from the beginning of last year, let alone from 2 years ago to help support the digital retailing environment. We're pretty agile. We whatever we hear is needed by the industry, we react and adapt. Or is that adapt and react? It might be adapt and react. Sorry.
And another question. So a lot of buy here, pay here dealers, we hear feedback from them like digital retail is great if you're running your average like retail operation. What sort of ways or opportunities do buy here, pay here dealers have to leverage credit tools in digital retail, knowing that they have kind of a slightly different model?
Yeah, it's a good question. That's a question our team faces every day. I'm a buy here, pay here. I don't need to pull credit, right? But there's so much information on a credit file that can help a buy here, pay here. And I know some buy here, pay here as well. I got to turn off switch in the car. If they don't pay, I turn it off. But you still want to try to understand the current situation. Are they in bankruptcy? Do they owe anybody? Are they in collections? Am I going to be a priority? Why start off a relationship leaning on I'm going to turn their vehicle off? But there is there's some good data in a credit file that can help, including all their current, who they owe money to and contact information for everybody they owe money to. And you get an idea of how much they're paying out each month. So there's a lot of good information in credit file. We're also looking at some products. Alternative data sources is another item that I think is it's been real slow moving. When I was got in automotive 20 years ago, the alternative data sources and the old NABD was it Ken Shilson? Is it? I think I got right. Yeah, he was also alternative data, but it really hasn't gained traction. But I think now that each bureau has purchased an alternative data source, Equifax, Experian, NT have all purchased one, and the intent is not to merge those with the credit file. So we're looking at launching some products this year to give insight into that alternative data, meaning buy here, pay here, short-term loans that are funded over the internet. There's all sorts of different data sources that report to these alternative data sources that don't report to the bureaus today. So that's going to be interesting, and I think that's going to hopefully it's going to start to take some legs in the industry. It's been very slow adapting, but I think now that the bureaus have committed to it, they're experts in building data and building files. I think it's going to have some legs.
Well, Ken, I've really enjoyed your insight. And before we close everything out, I wanted to see if there was anything we didn't discuss that you'd like to discuss.
I don't think so. I think you hit all the key points, and I think things are. I think they're really positioned to take off in automotive. I think there's a lot of consumers out there, me included, that's waiting to trade their car until after COVID, and shortage of inventory right now, but I think that's going to turn around as well. So I'm really excited for 2021, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today.
Well, thanks again, Ken. We really enjoyed you on today's episode of the Used Car Dealer Podcast.
Thanks, Zach. I appreciate it.